Okay, welcome to the Post-World podcast in Karl-Marx Studios, Bunker Studio, somewhere hidden in Berlin. Today we have a very special guest, Ioannis Savvidis.
Hey.
Ioannis, you are visual artist, curator, university teacher, for what I read. You make very interesting and heavy loaded with concept drawings.
Thanks, man.
But you also have a scientific side as a restorator. How do you call it?
Restorator.
Restorator.
Restorator, yeah.
Conservator,
restorator.
Of art and architecture. You're also an architect, no?
No.
No?
No.
That imply a lot of kind of knowledge, or some at least, of chemistry and physics, which makes you as a person, as an individuum, and also your work, also having different worlds, that coexist.
Okay.
What would you say you do from all these things that represents you, or do you identify with one of these fields, saying drawing, or?
I mean, yes, of course. I mean, I think whatever I work with is more or less, it's coming to me. I don't have to look for it. You know what I mean? It means that it fits in order to work with this as a tool in order to reach a certain amount, a certain information, a certain quality of information with the work. So this is very connected. So of course, depending on what I do, I switch also the tools. I switch also the way of approaching things, because it's different things. I mean, if you are on a scientific, you have a scientific job, right, to do, and then you start working on it in an artificial way, like an artist would do. This kind of playing around with that, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. So it's not, if scientific is also about efficiency. So it's a very different approach to the world. It's a very different approach to the world than going back to your studio and start working as an artist. I mean, you had to switch all the time. It's a switching process,
Yeah, even though there's always in some cases, or most of cases, there's a dialogue between technique and art, let's say, artistic approach. There's always a technique that's being developed to achieve a certain...
Absolutely.
But in some cases more than others. And in some cases it's more visible that these two worlds collide, Mm-hmm. And in your case, the relationship in between visual arts and architecture, for example, is very noticeable. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't stay at that. You make something with these elements, that is a way, as you said, you use these elements to say something you want to say. And in the way, I'm remembering these drawings from you that mix architectural technical drawing with the history of Greece.
Yes.
And also the narration, or the, how can you say, the imaginary.
Yes.
For the...
Yes, sure. I mean, what I like, actually, the way I approach, as I would say, a visual artist, okay, is that I take different parts from always existing worlds,
Yeah.
Mostly of them, that's true. It's made from the past. It's a past thing. It's something which is gone. But on the same time, it still works. I mean, we can still work with that. We can still speak with that. It's also part of our language world. So I can use this stuff, which is kind of old. It's vintage, if you say so. Mm-hmm. But the way I connect them together, or I bring it in a new context, this is kind of a dialogue going on with another world, which also affects my life. So this is true. Yeah, you have all these different gazes on maybe the same thing. But because of the gazes, the thing is changing. Or let's say, I hope I can do it that way. That's what I would like to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It's not easy.
Yeah. My impression of it is that you use something that has to do with the past, of course, vintage, as you say, but has to do with this this construction of the past,
Absolutely,
like an
absolutely,
imaginary
absolutely.
of a world that never existed,
Absolutely.
and that was always operative in Western culture as a whole, you know. And this is all sustained by sticks, you know, that
Yeah.
make the construction evident. This is first impression.
Okay.
Or
Okay. It's not very emotional, actually, I would say. If you know, because you explain it as in an analytic way. But can you imagine? I mean, can you imagine the idea is to use this? I mean, what I do actually is just taking old historical drawings or etchings within a certain context. You know,
Yeah.
like let's take the ancient European world, made by a very different culture for different purposes. So you have kind of a lot of values you have to deal with while you're using this material. So yes, it is something which I like because it's very gameful. It's it's joyful. You know, you can play with that. You can use these things because they're kind of gone. They're not so in a heavy discourse world happening. It's more silent there. It's a little bit outside the spotlights of our societal needs, which I agree. Yes, we need other things maybe than this, but I think it also has its own. How would I say it? It would be it has the right also to exist within all the other topics which are more more in the epicenter of our discussions. But I think it's also interesting to create a world within this kind of dramatic situation, to create a world where you can still be joyful. Even if you don't have enough money, even if you don't have enough power, if you don't have enough other shoulders you can hold on, you still keep a joyful structure alive, and you share it. I mean, hopefully I can share it with the people who just watch it. And this happens also with the video you was talking in the beginning, which was actually a podcast.
It was off the air. It was off the air actually. But yeah, we can talk about that video.
Yeah.
It's a video of yours that is called. First, let me make some coffee.
Let me make some coffee first.
Let me make some coffee first.
Yeah.
And it's a dialogue. It's called also a visual podcast.
It's called visual podcast.
It's called visual podcast. That is a dialogue in between you and the co-author.
Yeah.
An intimate dialogue. Speculative dialogue about conspiracy thinking and structure of conspiracy thinking and context and so.
Yeah, it's just a very simple structure. It's about thinking. I mean, it's a couple, and we really have. This is my girlfriend Lina Thodorou, she's also an artist, and she's a great artist, and she's a great person. First of all, because with Lina, I have kind of every day we have really interesting talks, and talks which are really helpful to go into the day, stuff like that. So this was one of these morning talks.
Yeah.
And I was asked to show something in the festival. I say, okay, I will show something in the festival. I have no fucking bloody idea what I will show in the festival.
Which festival was it?
It was the BIM. The Biennale Imagen de Movimento, but it was in Buenos Aires. It runs every 2 years, right? It's a biennale.
I think so too. Yeah, it's a biennale, right? It runs every 2 years.
I mean, you must know it. It's your brother.
Exactly. It's directed by Andres de Negri, who is my brother. This was not planned.
Why you ask me, man? You have to say it yourself.
But I wasn't sure at this time because you say a biennale, and I was like, is that it? Or...
Of course, it's that.
And
it's biennial.
As you say, it's like a post-world feeling that is driving this narrative forward, I felt.
It's interesting because nobody has said this before to me, that this kind of work I do, or this project we made with Lina, is a post-world project. I mean...
Do you feel comfortable about it?
Okay.
There's something to
I
it.
mean, of course, as I told you, I think everybody has an opinion about this word post-world.
Yeah.
You know, everybody on this planet reads it and it starts to work in his head.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's thinking differently. So yes, I'm fine with it. But you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Of course. But at the same time, I have a mind.
And you have fun too?
What?
You're okay with that?
I love the video.
Okay, thank
I
you.
love the video.
Oh, thank you.
I think it exercises something that is very actual and is very actual. I mean, from this year that passed. That is how all the narratives in the post-truth society and entertainment culture and consumptions, all these narratives clash together in a global pandemic where they told you not to go to buy stuff, to stay in your place.
No, you can buy stuff in Berlin. Come on.
Well, there
we could go to the supermarket.
Okay.
We couldn't buy toilet paper though, but we could go to the supermarket.
True. But in some part of this video, you talk about we are so full of these narratives of the culture industry, like from film and TV and so about the end of the world and an exacerbation of that. That if we are actually living in the end of the world, we don't even perceive it because we are so overwhelmed by all this exacerbation of the narratives that already have consumption society.
So, if I understood you, you mean that people are just it's overloaded by all these negative things, which it makes us lethargic. We cannot.
I think it's
we
a
cannot
value.
uprise anymore or something.
I think
sort of. Is that what you mean?
I hope it's. I hope it's not. I hope it's
very
not.
Pessimistic.
I know. I am not
super.
optimistic in that way.
You're not optimistic.
In that way, no. I think.
In which way are you optimistic? Okay, we talk about you now.
No.
But this is interesting.
No, but this is why to all my guests at some point I ask about this as a projection, as their own feeling with their own experience and their own gaze. And how,
I totally don't feel it's the end of the world at all.
Okay.
I'm not in an apocalyptic. No, I'm not in a how you call it, eschatological mood. I'm not. And I am also not in an apocalyptical mood, which want to say that there will nothing save us if we do a certain way of living or something. I don't believe even in that, So there's nothing about that. I think we will manage.
This is what I need to hear, actually.
I think we will manage. We have to just. We just have to trust in a certain way each other. Even if you don't understand each other, I think I don't know, maybe it's a very personal approach to the things and a very personal gaze to it, but I think if we trust each other in an not easy to explain meaning,
Pre-linguistic.
Probably. So if you're in this kind of mood and you projects it to the world outside, you feel like something is coming back in the same mood. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But if you project your own kind of very dark projection in the world, of course you will also reach the dark parts. They're shining back. It's like a mirror.
Yeah.
Kind of. I don't know if
but language
makes sense what I'm saying, but
it makes a lot of sense,
Okay.
and this is exactly what the subject is about in a way. Language itself is charged with these connotations and with these sometimes negative charge.
Language cannot be everything. Language language can be a lot, but even language can't be everything. And this part which we feel. But it's not filled with language. Mostly it's the part we feel like the loneliness, where you're really alone.
It's the wound of the narcissism, maybe.
Yeah, you are connected with the universe, which is very narcissistic. And then you feel, but it's only you. You know what I mean? It's only you. That's a very deep loneliness, and I think this type of maybe I'm afraid of this, and I try to do everything just to avoid this kind of feeling of this total loneliness, which maybe exists. And I'm sure it does, because you see people talking about it. I can't share that because I haven't this experience.
You look pretty relaxed. You don't look like you are feeling this.
No. Maybe I'm too stupid.
Or too lucky.
Or too lucky, or both, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't feel it. That's true.
Yeah. And so
I'm not depressed, I would say.
That's good.
Maybe this is something people understand more or something.
That's yeah. Nowadays it's more about this language because
probably I'm not. No, I'm not depressed. Of course, I have my different moments, and I have my doubts sometimes. You ask things about what sense, this sense of being alive and having consciousness and both together and all this. Sometimes it affects me and makes you having a not very relaxed feeling, living.
There's something,
but it's going away too. It's happening both. So I say, okay, if it's also, as long as things can also go away, they also can come back. That's okay. Guests are welcome. Conquers not.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah. I read something, I think it has to do with this feeling in a bit, or where you feel that this feeling might appear, a work of yours that is called Redesigning IKEA, and it has a very cute narration on how you had this guilt or shame about consuming something that anyone else can have, and at the same time you were ashamed about feeling the need to be special. And
this is exactly what happened to me when I moved from Greece. I used to live in Greece for I think 9 years, 2002 until 2012. I grew up in Germany, in Berlin.
Right.
I'm a West Berliner. I'm a
West Berliner.
I'm a West Berliner.
Okay.
My socialization, how you call it, my happening while I was in West Berlin.
There was not much many other options.
No, yeah, exactly. So I grew up, but I moved to Athens for a while, and then I came back. Just to make this a little bit clear when we're talking, because people don't know the story.
Exactly.
So it may be interesting to say something.
You went with your parents to Athens.
What?
You went with your parents are Greek.
Yes.
And they were taking you there, or you were going alone?
No. I did it by my own.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of jobs happening there, creative jobs like wall paintings and stuff like that, which I was interested in and I like to do.
Nice.
And and people asked me they took me right away from Berlin to Athens to work there for a while, which I did. So I always did more than one thing. I wasn't this kind of type of a very fixed visual artist.
I know.
It's the circumstances which kind of made this. I couldn't do it differently. You know what I mean? The circumstance didn't allow me to do it in a different way. It wasn't easy to do a different way.
I understand.
You had to risk. Maybe I had to risk a lot, and and sometimes you risk. And it doesn't work out. We always are happy when we hear about the stories that people risk and then wow, and it worked, and that was good that they risk. And some people, or sometimes some people, risk, and it's a totally fucking failure, because you risk.
But speculative,
so you kind of wow.
Speculative capitalism tell you no risk, no gain.
Right. This is one truth too, because I also get a lot because I risked. Some of the things doesn't work out. Some of the things does work out. So it's not easy to, prejudge this thing. Maybe it's helpful, maybe it's not helpful. I don't know.
You never know.
You never know.
And you're always in a way conditioned by the circumstances.
You never know. No.
Exactly.
You reach the field of luckiness, of gambling. And then you don't know.
And
So you keep both options open to
how
see
old were you
whatever.
at this time when you went for the first time to Greece?
I don't know, man.
Because
30,
it might
30, I don't know, 34.
you were okay. You were already
Yeah,
adult because,
Totally adult.
but you spoke the language, and this
Yes,
must have been a huge
Yes.
impact.
Exactly. I mean, I grew up in this Greek family where our main language was Greek, So yes, I spoke Greek. It wasn't difficult for me to move to Greece, and it wasn't also. The interesting part is that it wasn't even difficult in a cultural way. It is a very, very different culture than the German culture. It's 2,000 kilometers far away. It's just around the corner, but they're really different approaches to what life means. Totally different, and also what society means. It's different. So yeah. This about the language and about the fact that you have to deal with two totally different systems of communication.
Yeah, but about this feeling of you were feeling this guiltiness in a way, that is something I think very common as a existential struggle nowadays, about wanted to be special, at the same time feeling guilty for wanted to be special, at the same time your story is only yours, and these things that condition you, as you say, you can do nothing more, and this is part of human condition. I think it's something we all share at the same time, so there's always this tension about this existential questioning of what we choose, what we don't choose, why we chose them, if they have the proper linear narrative with where we come from, or what. And there's not a right way to do it, in a way, for me, and you will never know.
So you mean you cannot really create the proper language to keep a society in a good way?
I'm just saying each person, because of the human condition, can do all they can in the moment they can, with the conditions they have, with the context they have, with the energies they have at the moment. It's
very limited.
It's very limited. It's like big, but that's human condition for me, because it's always ever escaping in a way. And so you spent your whole life almost living in Berlin until you went to Athens.
No, I went to Athens, exactly.
But before that, you were living anywhere else?
No, I was living in Berlin. I grew up in, yes. So I had also the experience with the wall, and all these changes, which are,
Because I saw these drawings from you, these ones that you're mixing imaginary from an idealized Greek, and there's one that are kids playing on a wall that is actually on Greece, I think. But I remember a story you told me once about you playing next to a wall as a kid.
Yeah.
And do you feel this origin? I mean, this is quite a background story, Like, do you think you use that? Do you think it has to do with something you use as an element?
I don't know if I use that, specific that. I mean, I don't know if I use the wall as a structure, which, was more... The wall had two different physics, okay? The one was his real presence as a concrete construction 3.5 meters high, with the shape it has, with the feeling and the surface it has, and all this reality of the wall. And the other one was a symbol. And if you look at the wall right now, it's just a structure for you because you're a kid. You have no bloody idea about politics. You know what I mean? So when I lived at the wall, because I really grew up next to the wall. And when I get out of my house, I I had to stop walking because there was the wall. I have to go left or right.
Yeah.
That was there. You open your door and this wall.
Wow.
This or this, but you can do this or this. So you grow up in this. Maybe this kind of affects me in a way that I say, this is something which creates a very clear structure.
Binary structure, by the way.
Maybe this. No. I mean a structure of evaluation. You go out and you say you can. It depends on if I turn left or if I turn right. Because if I turn left, I have this and this and this happening, and if I turn right, I have this and this and this happening, which are different than the others. So, but for sure, I had not straight. But as a kid, when you grow up as a kid, and there's a wall, it's not a wall for you. It's just the end of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't go behind it. You don't know what it is behind it, and actually, you don't care what's behind it. You just accept it as fact. This is what a kid can do. So I grew up with this mood, and then suddenly the wall dropped down when I was starting becoming more like kind of, thinking and background thinkings and stuff like that. And I said, okay, now the wall is gone. So which wall is gone? Is it my wall which is gone? No, because now I'm not a kid anymore. So the wall I know was gone because I become an adult, and not because somebody took it away. You know what I mean? So there must be another thing happening in the same moment. So you have these different kind of approaches within the same thing, and this maybe affects the way that hopefully I try to work on this multi-approachable manner.
I think so too, because something about the morphology of your drawings have something about this trying to be more accurate on how this result of the dialogue, inner world, outer world, could look like for reals, As you say, you perceive something different, and it's impossible to separate external events from internal events,
Yes.
and I know this for a fact.
Sure.
And from historical moments, that you lived in a certain moment and they are entangled to your own experience. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's some of this search, a perceptual search in the morphology of your drawings, in a way, trying to make like a conjunction
Of what?
inner world and outer world,
Okay.
trying to
Right,
represent some historical event, or which in a way it's impossible to separate the subjective from the objective.
Yeah, it's. I always work in a way of. What I do is making a construction. So it's very constructive. The way I think art, my way of thinking art, is a very constructive. So the architecture you mentioned in the beginning is
Yes.
not in the wrong place, but so there is an architectural way of thinking in the way I do my pieces. But
Yeah.
but I would never like to become an architect. So I just take something from the architects which I like to use because I feel like homey with that. And just use it.
But you are very good at technical drawing.
I wouldn't say that because I
No?
never did a technical drawing.
Really?
I do fake technical drawings. So there's not a real technical
Because
drawing.
you are with
I just
photo-
use the language. I use exactly
visual
the
language.
same visual language of a technical drawing. That's all. But I'm not making technical drawings. You cannot use my drawings in order to construct something which makes any sense beside itself.
In that way, you are a metaphysician.
I don't know. Call it as you want. I just want to
It's a
explain you
useless
what I
tool.
love to play with. Because I create these constructions. And these constructions, you could call them also like, how you call them, playgrounds.
Yeah.
And then I jump into this playground and start playing with it, with all these things which gives me this kind of, how you call it, footage you
Yeah.
work with, What footage do we have? We have the playground. What footage do we have? Let's do what we can. So this is it's a destructing of narratives
Yeah.
in a very joyful way. I enjoy it, and I hope that this joy, you can see it into my drawings.
I think it's
While
something.
you also see the story of the whatever.
I think it's something
painting,
you definitely perceive from a specific kind of drawings where this construction thing is used as an location of the scene that is being displayed. This place is like a real construction work site, you know? And at the same time, you can tell that there's to this beauty, to this kind of scenography, you are like a step behind and you are showing in a way,
Are you talking about my terrace?
for example, yeah.
The terrace. Oh my God, it's a very old piece. It was just right after the wall, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a place in Nordbahnhof. Now it's built up, or no, now it's a park, I think.
In Berlin.
I think now it's a park, yeah. So this used to be a zone where it's not allowed to go to. It doesn't exist. It's forbidden zone. So what I did is I get the license to get into this forbidden zone, and I created a terrace. I made a terrace.
The forbidden zone in the
it
world
was
times.
forbidden in the in terms that the S-Bahn could cross it, but the area was, how you call it, fenced.
Yeah.
No entry, please. I don't know. I mean,
There was a wall
that's
around.
why I call it forbidden. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I created
Restricted.
and I created just this little terrace just in front of the tracks. So when the train is crossing for a millionth of a second, your train has a terrace. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So the terrace is just there while the train is crossing, and I know that I can create a reality connected with this place, which is not, it's forbidden. You only can see it from TV or while you are in the train. You have two options. You have the monitor, or you have a look out of the window of an S-Bahn. And this is actually what I would like to say with this project.
And I think this.
So you have two different, you know. So what is the real? Which one you choose? Which one is, you know? Because the third one, to be there, was only allowed to me.
No, it's like a thought
You know.
experiment. It's very conceptual.
What is it?
It's like a thought experiment, like Schrodinger's
Oh
cat.
shit! It's a thought experiment.
In a way, yeah.
You don't mean
In a way,
it's
yes.
not touching the heart or something?
I think you want to. It is emotional, but it's so conceptually like
Yeah, it's
closed
fucking-
and
it's very-
finished that
it's-
it's you know.
It's very conceptual. Yeah. You're right. Okay.
But I think this playful approach to how to you construct these narratives gives you also the possibility to approach very heavy and serious things, you know, with maybe a.
What is so serious about it?
Well,
To have a
the
fucking
context.
terrace in front of a train. I mean, what is so serious about it? Yeah, it's a forbidden zone. That's the serious part. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the serious part. But the rest is not serious at all.
Yeah, but
Right?
having a playful approach to structures
it's
and
playful,
to language
yeah,
and
yeah.
to science
Yes,
in this
yes.
time is very provocative, and it gives
Is
you.
it?
Well, it is.
I think we have overcome this period of provoking with language. What we can do now is to play with language.
But I mean,
That's what I think.
I mean, it was the wall. The wall was on still, no?
No,
Ah.
no. The wall was gone. It was just
Okay.
just after the wall,
Okay.
but
okay.
still not
But was this
accessible.
Mm-hmm.
It was not accessible. So yes, the idea was to settle down there. A terrace is the most settled part of the house. The most settled part of the house. I mean, you imagine a villa, whatever, a little landside house, and what is the most settled part of it? It's a terrace. It's this which says, I'm sitting outside, super civilized, and from this civilization, this house grows up. You know, it's an architectural way of seeing.
It comes from the Greeks.
No,
no?
you don't- no.
The architectural
Which Greeks?
structure.
Which Greeks?
The architectural structure of the.
No, of course not. Are you kidding? No.
The concept,
I think even the cave people had started thinking like that.
but they were already made. They say these terraces.
No, they couldn't make the set because they didn't have to fucking discover the tools. But I think there were some first thoughts about it. without
Okay.
tools. And then they was just waiting next million year to get the tools. It's a little bit, that's hardcore. Bauhaus and Obi is much quicker now.
Yeah. And talking about
That's
this,
good. That's good news.
talking about this, how what you say is just a construction, that is being imposed and sometimes doesn't have to do with the context. You use this also, but what you expose in a way is like how this was, for example, the imaginary of the ancient Greece as a born place of Western culture, and how in Germany's history they use this also to symbolically, as you say, the structure there.
I don't think they use it symbolically.
No?
No, there are symbols within, but they don't use the whole thing symbolically. I don't think so. No, they really mean that. They really felt like our society now in 18 or 1790s in Germany, our society now is able to understand the old Greek culture, its value, its very high value, and trying to reach it now. Let's go this way, So this was a very high self-consciousness to take this and say, okay, we want to become like you in our way. So it's like a competition with dead people.
Yeah.
Life with death is in a competition, but a certain life with a certain death, And this makes this an interesting structure too for me.
Because they were part of the Roman Empire since they were conquered, and in a way they feel they achieved this level of taking the next, let's say, being the next center.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I think it's more complicated.
It's
I think
complicated.
the German history is a very complicated history. I can promise you. It's not a simple.
But it's very different history. It's not a parallel history than in Greece.
There are parallelities, but it's not.
They were very different sums of cultures and tribes when they were conquered by the Roman Empire.
Yeah, I don't think it has to do anything with the conquer of the Roman Empire. It has to do more to do with the Germans discovered ancient Greece through Homer,
Yeah.
through Aeschylus, through Euripides, and all these
Odyssey.
guys who wrote a lot of interesting shit, and also through philosophy. So they start reading all this again in a new glaze, and trying to understand. First of all, to accept, look what was possible, and the second thing is, let's try to go there, to
Renaissance.
reach that. It's religious in a way. It's like a new religion. Instead of trying to be a good person and then you die and then you go to the paradise forever and ever and ever, they say, okay, wow, this is interesting stuff. It shows a lot about this liberty of the person, and this is something which we like to approach. To reach an more individualistic thing, because this is what they liked for the Greeks. When they say the old Greeks, how great they're looking for the moment, really, the Western part. The Western society is looking exactly for the moment where somebody suddenly changed a foot of the sculpture, and he says, because of this person is much more liberal now, And I like that fact that they have this analytic approach, which also works. Because yes, it's true. This was the moment where the people start walking the sculptures, individual, as individuals. So this is.
But it's not
you
the
can
only
say it in a
cause,
poetic way, you can say it in an analytic way, So, but there's something they really believe in, and this is what I mean when I say it's kind of religious. It's a bit. You take this as holy and try to be as close. It's exactly what Christianity do. Jesus is holy, is the top, and we try to be a little bit like him.
A belief system.
It's a religion, That's what I believe, and So for me, there's no difference if I choose a religion or if I choose architectural approach, or if I choose a German historical
Or
approach,
semiological.
I choose Greek approaches to maybe European stuff, which is also interesting because it's completely different. And then I approach a Greek hate between the neighbors, and you say, wow, they hate each other, but they're neighbors.
So not Christian.
They're so yes, but they're so similar. Even if they have different religions, these religions are kind of very close each other. It's just you change kind of details.
Yeah.
It's not a big change. It's not whatever. I don't know. It's not.
Because we talked that the Roman Empire appropriated and continued it for centuries,
Yes, that's
and
true.
dominated
The Roman Empire
culturally
created Europe.
and also registered, like.
No, it created. It was the first European country. The idea of Europe as a unity.
Yeah, then was Napoleon.
Also.
Yeah.
Also, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you have all these different worlds happening in my works. That's true. I like to work with that. This is why I like also to. My idea is to take something which exists already, in a very different, it's a different context, because the past was not. The conscious of the people wasn't the same like ours is. They would never think post-world. No, they would think post-world, but in an apocalyptic way. So it's different. So I like to use this old material where you have a lack of reality because it's past. There's something missing.
Well, this is why.
And this part changes it. It makes it a little bit more. What is it now?
This is why thinkers and researchers, like social researchers, you can call them, like Foucault, try to invent a type of sort of investigation, like genealogy, that included not only anthropology, but also semiotics, but also everything that would help you understand how this person would live and why would it think and talk like that at this moment, all the disciplines possible. And he called this investigative method genealogy. I don't know how to say it in English. I think it's something like that. Because the frustration was this, the difference between the things and the words is always so huge that when you want to talk about the time of the ancient Greece, for example, what these words mean, really it's impossible to grasp what they meant at the time.
It's impossible. I think it's impossible. I think it's absolutely impossible. But what you have now is you don't have the certainty of truth.
Now we're getting emotional.
You don't have the certainty of truth because it's past. The truth, you don't know the truth of the not the truth, but the, how you call it, the
proof.
The beginning of this narration.
The origin.
The origin, exactly. Thank you. So if you have the origin is good. So the origin is gone, but what we have is we have the information as we have it from the moment on the origin is gone until today, and it's changing all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, when now it's a little bit deliberated again. What I want to say is that if sometimes we use symbols when we work. Even in art, you have symbols approaching
even when you don't think about it, or you don't know about it.
Yes, they're coming, they're beasts. Even if you don't think about it, exactly.
Or mostly, right?
Yes, or mostly that, because nobody wants to use these motherfuckers.
They are demons, subconscious demons.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, I could have that. I accept that. Yeah, they're demons. So you don't want them.
Yeah.
But.
But it's what it is, no? It's what we got to work with, in a way.
Sometimes, yes.
But a very effective way to fight against demons, one of the most effective ways is humor. And this joyful approach you have to all these things that you might consider serious or not, but they are serious, are really weapons against this kind of demons of the mind, let's say, when you're trying to look for an identity, you're trying to look for an origin, for a history.
To lose something which we call it's certain, it's clear, it's this. I mean, truth can be very blurred, can be very sharp, sort of. You can say this is the truth, but you can't prove it sharp enough in order to make it sharp. You can't prove it to give to the audience this kind of, that's the truth. I mean, of course, look, he said that, she said that. There's truth. You said this is the truth, but you don't have the, and there's truth. It becomes more and more how you say
tangible,
subjectively.
Subjective. Yeah,
it's going away from the object and goes more to the subject. So, and there's a moment when you say, okay, I don't know if this is the truth, but this is what I believe, and then the belief is starting.
Yeah.
So between belief and truth, there's a distance. There's there's a. Oh my God, I'm always thinking architecturally, but this is how I think. This is how I see all this. Distances and heights and whatever. I don't know what's going on, but this is true.
But isn't human perception, human condition about that? Like the way we can interpret the world is only a construction, and this is why we always...
I don't want to say to the people, guys, we all live only in fucking constructions. There's something behind it. There's something behind it. Well, you know what? Another construction. This is my message to this direction.
I understand.
And end of story.
Yeah.
Take it, do what you want, end of the story. After the construction, there's another construction. Okay. And then there's another one, and it goes on like it. So I give them an endlessness. Endlessness?
Yeah.
I give them an endlessness.
Yeah.
And then I say, it's endless. You can use it, you can take it. It's forever. You don't have to take care anymore. This is what happens when I say construction. I mean, this is I don't care about this approach to it. But I like the idea of the demons, though, very much.
But you don't even see the demons because you fight them with this attitude in a way, like not caring.
It's not true.
Okay.
Sometimes I mean, not as not like figures, but I feel like, oh my God, there's a demon going on now.
You're just human.
I'm human. It's helpful. But there are not so many demons in my life, to be honest. I have some, but not too many. I mean, I'm not demonized. No.
Luckily.
No. I'm not demonized. No.
And talking about this ever-expanding universe and also the distance between truth and the real thing, let's say.
Truth and the real thing?
Well, the words and the object.
Huh?
Truth as a construction and the real thing happening outside our construction.
But why there must be something out of construction? Who said that?
But how can we know?
We don't. I just offer you something. I'm fine with that. I offer you something, I am fine with that. That's the only thing I can do. I say, you know what? You want me to show you something I'm fine with? Okay, I will do it. It doesn't mean that it's a good work, at least. It doesn't mean that. It's not about quality of work. It's about I'm fine with the world I offer. Mm-hmm. If I make it well or not, okay, we can talk about that. But right now, I just want to say, yeah, it works in my mind. I mean, my mind is full of constructions. The more you give me, the easier I just glide through the world and through my life in a way, kind of. So it's my easy way,
So for you, there's always this relation.
Yeah. And I offer this. That's all I do.
It's a very cool way of approaching
I
it.
do.
I have to say, it's a very cool way to approaching it because the other option is to be totally overwhelmed and affected by it, which...
I'm both. I mean, okay. I'm both. Are you kidding me? Of course. I mean, of course. This is why I'm talking. I mean, when we say demons, I mean, there are still moments or kind of situations where you can't get rid of some things which we don't like having them, keeping them alive, I don't want to become too personal now, but I just want to say that there are some,
okay.
there are things like that. And you feel like, okay, this is demonized in a way. Because you get the idea that you should get rid of that, or you should work more on that, or whatever, or you have to change a little bit the way of living in order to approach or to reach something you would like to reach.
Yeah.
So you feel like, oh, why I'm not doing it proper, why I'm, kind of trying to avoid it. These are the demons, I would say. I have them too, But it doesn't mean that I don't know to tell, I don't want to convince people. I just have a very good self-consciousness when I'm talking about, yes, it's a construction. It's happening from me. I construct it, and I love what I'm constructing, and I can live with that. So why should I change this? And then there's the only question you approach when you ask yourself, why should I change this kind of playing around?
It's an ethical question.
It's an ethical question, exactly, because you have the only thing which is left over, it's a moral thing. It's something like, I have to take care of the others too. Sorry. You're not alone here, baby. And you know what? The fact that you have this kind of life, a lot of people have died before you. Okay, it's not my fault. On the other hand,
but it's
I'm sorry I didn't kill them. Or I'm sorry I didn't meant to have billions living before of me. This wasn't my... I didn't did that. Did you? You come on the planet and you don't say, oh, thank you, because I was saying to my daddy, daddy, I want to go to the planet Earth. No, this is too slow. No, I want to go to the planet. And then, daddy gave you. So you can say, you come here, you get born and you say, oh, thank you, daddy, I'm on planet Earth. I can't say that. This is by accident. So it's a lot of things by accident.
Synchronicity.
No, it's a lot of things by accident.
Yeah.
It's not by my own.
Yeah.
So where should guilt come from?
Well, but exactly, talking about that in an ever-expanding universe, in an infinite time, everything that could happen will happen, and they will happen with 100% certainty.
Everything. That's true.
And
I like that.
And you say about something about this, it's also kind of a thought experiment in this video, when you try to think about the amount of people in the world and the amount of languages, and by statistics, there's a very huge probability that 20 people are saying the same phrase at this time,
So, yeah.
And this is something, it is also a kind of thought existentialist experiment to deal with this, because it's overwhelming. And for us, for our psyche, I think it's not meant to think about this stuff, This is why we always fail. This could be an evolutive, limit to our comprehension, but I don't know.
I can't tell you. Sometimes things like that shows up, sometimes they don't. It was a nice talk this morning. And also in this video podcast, whatever, we made...
visual podcast.
Yes, visual podcast. And, we made, especially for this kind of Corona lockdown context. The context is important. So these two people talking at home all the time, being at home every morning, and they have these morning talks, and they talk, and what shows up is this idea of it's not about the conspiracy. It's that the conspiracies are so boring. It's like taking it as something you can approach playful, and maybe all distract them because you approach them playful. Because most people don't approach this playful. Most people hated it, just don't want it, while it's there already. Just, all this, and you say, okay, this is all absolutely understandable. I understand why people have this behavior. I also have this behavior most of my time.
But I also accept it in a way.
But I think I think it's also very nice to just approach it not accepting it, but approaching it and using it as a material for something. So, so what is the material here? Is just to take it and put it into the rating system of quality, of story quality. You know what I mean?
Also construction, another construction.
Yeah, it's no. There is no construction. The construction is there. I give the construction.
Yeah. What I wanted to say, related to this way, you said that people seem to always be worried and carry this as a heavy thing, like condition of life, and you say you could do something with this. You also feel this pain and this wound, but you take it, you think, in a personal way, and try to do something also apart from.
I don't know. I mean, yes, I don't. Yeah. This is not my topic I'm thinking about, but at least in my topics, you have also the the smell.
Yeah.
Of
intuition.
No, the smell. It's the other side.
The hunch.
The hunch. Something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I mean smell. I mean, you have this. What's going on around you, and it's not. You're not an ignorant because you're listening. I mean, you should listening at least as an artist. This is what I'm trying to do all the time. So I'm not in my bubble, my personal little bubble, like a nerd or something. I wouldn't say that. For me, this world is so complicated that the only way to approach it or to come in touch with it, to feel like this is my mama planet Earth. You know what I mean? Pachamama. This is Pachamama. In order to do that, for me, is just to go there and try to understand, play around. So this is not a real philosophy or something. It's more something like I try to keep my conscience on a curious way. Stay curious. If you're curious all the time, you're not getting dark. You know, I am a feared person. I have my fears. I have my fears about death, you know, because I don't believe in something. I don't believe in salvation. I don't have all this. So I am a feared person. This is something else. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about why you're living. You approach Macha, you know?
Pachamama.
Pachamama, my God, sorry.
Mother Earth.
That's beautiful. I have
The
to learn
first,
that. I have to learn
the
that.
first sculptures
Anyway,
ever.
Pachamama. You know, this type of being connected with my
Gaia also.
clear little situation. You know, like the sky is blue. It's up there. It's not down. You know, this clear world. So, in order to have this happening without having all the time this darkness. This kind of it doesn't make sense, and then you know, existentialism and all these things, which kind of affects my generation in a way. This is my dark part, if you want. In order to not having this all the time in front of your face, you start playing around, and you have this curiosity about nearly all the time everything. That's all.
I love it.
That's all.
Thank you, Ioannis. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
You're the best.
Thanks, man.
Yes.